Hey guys, Phoenix Spring Tarot here. So in this tutorial pick a card reading, I would be giving an introduction into what psychic attacks are. So how they're created, how attacks affect us, ways to resolve and defend ourselves. So I will be giving an overall tutorial into that first, and then I'll be going into the pick a card itself. And the tarot reading element is meant to show where our psychic weaknesses are, how they manifest within us, ways it occurs in our day-to-day lives, and suggestions as to how to resolve. I have meditated, created the piles, picked some cards already, but I will also be shuffling on camera if I'm intuitively called to do so. So I would suggest listening to the tutorial part of this before diving into picking your pile, because doing that will provide the context for the right frame of reference to view your reading through, to ensure the messages that I'm giving in this reading make sense and that it resonates with you more deeply. And I think more than anything in this reading, I want you to view this as being educational as opposed to being a tarot reading itself. Also, I want you to know to the guys that I'm not saying that you have received a psychic attack. I am not saying that you would receive one. I'm not saying that you should expect one. A vulnerability does not mean an attack would be successful either. Okay? So I just want to get that disclaimer out so that everyone is clear on their frame of reference for viewing this reading. Also bear in mind that these picker cards are general readings to the collective, so not everything would resonate. Only take what does. Choose another pile, or probably you could choose another pile if a message does not resonate, or it could be that there aren't any messages for you right now, and it could be that you may just have to come back at another time. Okay, so I'm going to go through the pile selections for you. Timestamps would be down below. And then I'm going to go into an overview of what a psychic attack is. Again, I would suggest that you view the tutorial first, but I would still say what the piles are. So this is pile number 1, this is pile number 2, and this is pile number 3. Okay, I'll go into the introduction as to what a psychic attack is, and then I will go through the pile selection again, and then we'll get into the pick a card portion of the reading. All right. Okay, so what is 249? What is a psychic attack? I was just about to say a psychic attack. Psychic attack. So a psychic attack involves an external energy that affects our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. So these external energies can come from our environment, or they could come from people around us. I wouldn't go too much into the environment, but with the environment, you can think of it as pollution, loud noises, radio or cellular or phone waves, and Wi-Fi and electromagnetism from your microwave and that sort of thing, right? That's the environment. However, psychic attacks could also come from people. So it could come from, and you have elements like witchcraft, curses, black magic. But what I'll be focusing on in this are negative thought forms, psychic vampirism, and energetic cords. Okay, that's going to be the main focus on this reading. Simply because I feel through my experience doing readings with people, the psychic attacks from other people are the ones that are most prevalent. And what will come through is that these psychic attacks could be intentional and unintentional, right? Okay, thought forms. So thought forms could be our own thoughts, or they could be thoughts from other people. They could also be thoughts that we have as a collective. So we could create thought forms and perceive them as external energies that are attacking us. So we could perceive our own fragments, personalities, archetypes, and in the same way, and we could feel and be attacked by external forces as well. So what I'm saying here is just the way that you could have a thought about someone else that's not quite positive and not quite the best, if that thought is given enough energy, if that thought you go over it time and time and time again, that thought form towards that other person could be a form of a psychic attack. Even though you may not intentionally mean to attack someone else, it's just because you've been thinking about that other person, you've been thinking about them in a low vibration energy way, either through anger, rage, anxiety, etc. And if you give that enough energy, that becomes a psychic attack. Now, psychic attacks, and I'll come more into that in a moment. Psychic attacks could also come from non-living people, such as earthbound spirits, attaching soul mechanisms, and dark force energies. But I won't go into all of that too much because this is only meant to be an introduction. Now, the main problem with these negative thought forms, either generated by ourselves or from other people towards us, is that they deplete our vital force energy. So think about it this way. You're constantly thinking about someone, let's say an ex-boyfriend or a manager, or let's say a family member, right? You're constantly thinking about them. The more energy that you give towards that thought about the other person, the less energetic resources that you have to create your energetic experience, the less energy resources you'd have for interactions to live your life to the fullest potential and capabilities. And it also means the less energetic resources you would have to defend yourself against other people's negative thoughts against you. And what that does, especially if you stay in that low vibration energy of having negative thoughts towards other people, is that not only do you become susceptible to negative karmic psychic attacks, but you also develop negative karma. You develop blocks and you develop restrictions. Now, it is very, very important to say at this point that psychic attacks could only be successful if we allow it to be successful, right? We do not have power. We do have the power, rather, to repel a psychic attack. But also note, we should never respond to an attack by attacking another person. Because trust me, everything we do in this life comes back to us in some way or another, like a boomerang. Right? And always remember that we are a reflection of what we put out in the world. Now, before going into our pick a card readings, one thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to thought forms is intention. Intention is really important. So psychic attacks could be created intentionally and unintentionally. I touched on this earlier. So you may be affected by an unintentional psychic attack every time you pick up an energy thought from someone else. So imagine, let's say you are on the train, you're exiting the train and someone knocks you really, really hard. Let's say, and then they may be knocking you on purpose, so they're communicating a thought form to you that they don't care. And you may also have a thought form of being really annoyed that they knocked you. But within that moment of that bodily interaction happening, there's an energy thought form exchanged, which is low vibration. Okay? Also, many times I want to be clear as well, is that we could be inflicting, a point I raised earlier rather, is that we could be inflicting and psychically attacking ourselves. All right, so here's what that looks like. So we could be constantly creating thoughts, and when these thoughts arise in our conscious or subconscious, many times for most people, when they have thoughts and they arise within us, they could easily dissipate as soon as a thought is created, right? We forget about them, we move on. However, sometimes when something happens, we could give this thought repeated energy, and we have that thought again and again and again and again. We revisit it. So if that person who knocks us on the train and we're holding on to that person and holding on to how annoying, how aggressive, how they don't have any respect, your rage, if you hold on to that, it doesn't dissipate, you hold on to it. You exit the train station, you're holding on to it. You go into work, you go into school or college, wherever, you're holding on to it, right? Because you're repeatedly visiting that interaction and generating those thoughts of anxiety and so on. what that thought does, it takes on a fourth dimensional form in our energy body, right? So this thought form itself is going to become dependent on us feeding that rage and low vibration energy to survive. Okay, so if we keep on thinking about it, we keep on diverting energy from living our day-to-day lives to that thought form. So when we re-divert our vital force energy to uphold these negative thought forms, then these thought forms become dependent on our energy and we deplete ourselves. So I use the example of someone knocking you, that's just an example on a train, but think of the number of occasions, let's say you broke up with an ex-boyfriend, or you have thoughts against a family member, or you have thoughts against a boss who did you wrong. Think about those times, and when you give energy constantly and you replay rumination, you replay that thought over and over again in your mind. This could happen sometimes over years, over decades. So you replay that thought of blame, anger, hurt, victimization over and over. You're depleting yourselves. You're not present in the moment. So you this way could be psychically attacking yourself, and also without intending to, you are psychically attacking the other person as well. By exchange, if that other person is also having thoughts about you, they are sending negative psychic attacks your way as well. So many times we could be preoccupied with other people, and we could invest a lot of time in what other people think of us and what we think of other people. And many times opinions of other people have about us could be water off a duck's back. But if we allow other people's opinion of us to grow, we could become preoccupied with what other people, and we become preoccupied with what other people think. We then start directing our energy to what they think of us over and over and over again. And that's how we begin to invite psychic attacks towards us. Because in that way, we are also lowering our vibration. We are lowering ourselves to their level, whether we are aware of it or not. By the same token, if a group of people have a same energy, thought, or intention, same low vibration energy, thought, or intention to their line manager, for instance, it means as a group of people, whether you intend it or not, you are channeling a psychic attack to your manager. And by conversely, if the manager is having, not so good thoughts about you all as a collective of workers under his managerial care, he is also sending a psychic attacks towards you all as well. So many times if we uphold these negative thought forms, in upholding them, we make ourselves vulnerable to negative psychic attacks. So how could psychic attacks affect us? So when we are affected by negative energies or negative thought forms, many times we could feel it, right? We could feel a bit dull. We could feel a bit negative. We could feel a bit sick for a couple of days. Psychosomatic illnesses have come more popular as a phrase in the mainstream now. So most people are capable of dealing with this negative energy, given a few days to get it out of their system, give it a few days, to take some time off work, to take themselves out of the situation. That enables you to divert the energy back to yourself, divert the vital force energy back to you so you could recover. So if you receive a psychic attack from entities, spirits, and if you have negative cord, and if you have cord connections, or if someone has a negative hook into you, and this could be generational. Many times psychic attack hooks are placed there by people who are very close to you. That's another thing as well. So these hooks many times could go undetected for years. You could become very used to operating and managing with a dark cloud over it and not realize that you are under a constant psychic attack. So many times, how could this manifest itself? Procrastination, excessive fatigue when you're persistently weak, psychosomatic illnesses, physical problems where there's no medical diagnosis. a strong desire for sexual gratification where you're just having sex for the sake of it, or overindulging, either over exercising, craving junk food, being OCD for no apparent reason. So any tendency to just overdo things. Some people hear voices or sounds, see shadows, feel as if something is brushing past them or has touched them. And then unusual thoughts as well. Unusual thoughts to the point of you wonder, hang on, what is wrong with me here? You know? So, but one thing that is really important to remember, irrespective of all of this, is a point I raised earlier about vulnerabilities. Be aware that you could be vulnerable, but it doesn't mean that an attack would be successful. Many times the best way, so how do you defend yourself from an attack? The best way is to be self-aware. Be really self-aware and be courageous and really leaning into the elements of your life that don't seem to be working, and get curious about it. So if someone gives you a bad vibe and a bad feeling, really respect that. If you're having an interaction with someone and you're just butting heads, be curious about it. How is this person responding to me? How am I responding to them? If I'm responding to them, am I responding in a high vibration in my energy, or am I responding in a low vibration in my energy? By high vibration, I mean, am I happy? Am I self-assured? Does this interaction validate me? Or do they make me feel low? Do they make me feel angry, sad, less than? Do they give me anxiety? You know, and this is where we really need to do the hard work and be honest with ourselves. And it's in doing the hard work that people get stuck. It's actually in doing the hard work. Many times people come to me, expect me to wave a magic wand and automatically just fix things. But you always have to come at it from a place of spiritual integrity, right? Not wanting to compromise your energy, and coming from a place of being able to recognize when you are in low vibration, when you're experiencing rage, anxiety, apathy, indifference, etc. And knowing when you face that, being brave about taking the decisions and steps that are right for you to resolve the situation, to put yourself back in the right vibration. Also, I would say another bit in terms of how to resolve and how to spot your vulnerabilities is being vulnerable could also be a sign that you're out of energetic alignment, or that you're in low vibration. Right? So when you are in low vibration, it means that in terms of your vital force energy, in terms of your life purpose, it means that you are out of alignment. So many times it's really asking the question, okay, how did I get out of alignment? How did I get here? What do I need to do? What are the next steps? And when people, for instance, come to me for tarot readings or for soul realignment readings, and they come with that approach, most people who come with that approach always have the best outcome from the readings, because they're coming from a space and they're coming from an energy which is, I want to be constructive about being in right alignment in my life. I'm just not clear on what I need to be focusing on. So in that case, the tarot reading becomes a confirmation for them. Right? Not a magic wand, but a confirmation. And then very lastly, in terms of protecting yourself from spiritual attacks and ensuring that you are grounded, because it's always when you're very grounded and certain about yourself, then you're impervious to all attacks. So meditation, soul realignment, karmic clearing, coaching, seeing a psychotherapist, seeing a counselor, surrounding yourself with good people, even spiritual coaching and realigning your karmic energies and looking into next steps is advisable. What I always suggest to people, for instance, is that if you see your doctor every quarter, if you see your dentist every quarter, if these are things that you do every quarter, you take a holiday every couple of months, you go into work every day, you should be seeing a spiritual coach, a spiritual advisor, or like a spiritual healer or a mentor at least once a quarter as well, to check into your energies, to check in to ensure that you're in spiritual alignment. And then if you're not, what could you do about it? And once you have a plan of action, put it in place. Okay? So that's spiritual attacks. Now we are ready to get into the pick a card. So let's do the card selection. So again, this is pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3. So go with your first instinct to pick a card, to pick your pile, but I would be going with pile number 1. All right. Put these over here. All right, so pile number 1, let's see what we have for you. Right, pile number 1. A fiery climax approached. Let's see what else we have. Consciousness, happy success. Masquerade. Okay, let's focus on these for a moment. It's interesting that this is an Aries energy, so it's a cardinal sign energy. And what I'm picking up really strongly here is someone who is very committed, very driven, very uptone, and comes across that way. And they're very driven, very ambitious. That's what I'm picking up for you guys. Very driven, very ambitious. Those people have picked up this pile. You are in this life, you are here, as I'm picking up with heavy success, and with your palms of your hands lit up. You are here to really experience, to live this life to the fullest, to be in your alignment, to be in your divine flow. That is what you're here to do. You're very closely, I would say that in a past life, or if you guys weren't here, you guys are very senior angels and spirit guides who have come down to earth to have an experience, right? That's what I'm picking up here very strongly for this group. If you think that's not you, then you could choose another pile, but that's what I'm picking up strongly. In terms of masquerade, let me see some more. I'll be shuffling on camera, by the way. Okay, so we have the Tower. Dun, dun, dun. 2 of Cups. Yeah, this is what I mean by 2 of Cups. We have 2 twos. Yeah, this makes sense. We have 2 twos in terms of the 2 of Cups and the 2 of Pentacles. This is what I was picking up at Masquerade. You guys are here to have a human experience, to experience yourselves and all aspects of your personality. Hence, we have the 2. The 2 has come through really strongly here. What I'm picking up, though, is that when in your Akashic records, when you're writing your script as to the main life lessons that you want to learn, I'm picking up that you guys threw in certain scenarios and situations that would be purposely challenging for you, particularly challenging from a monetary perspective. You guys wanted those challenges. You guys wanted the challenge of being thrown difficult situations to get a deeper understanding of yourselves and who you are. What it seems to me, and this is what I mean by the Tower. If you guys in this group may have had situations come into their lives where you think you're doing well, you think you're doing great, you're very driven, and then out of nowhere something happens. And then you begin to question and doubt yourself. You know, so you put on a facade, but inwardly there's a bit of turmoil as to how do you resolve things that go wrong, or why is it that it appears that I'm so close, but I seem to be sabotaging myself, or things are going wrong. You guys are very good in terms of reaching out and working with, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Look at that, 45. Look at, in terms of, this is what I was picking up about the Akashic record and past life lessons and so on. Look at people on a stage and being controlled by strings, the marionettes. This is what I was saying. It's almost as if your higher self sort of orchestrated a lot of these situations that are coming up in your life to see how you would react to it, to learn certain lessons. This group, you guys are very much evolved beings. I have to say, you're highly spiritually evolved. right? Very spiritually intuitive. Because you guys have come here for the simple reason and purpose of experiencing yourself in different situations, and good and bad, and learning from it. You guys may have other like-minded people as well who are also quite highly spiritually attuned, just as you guys are. But a lot of the experiences that you've gone through in your life with the Tower and the Wheel of Fortune, a lot of them are destined to teach you lessons and for you to have a particular life experience. Right? There are a series of events that have been set up for you to specifically experience things in a particular sequence, particular circumstances, with particular people. Because that, before you came into this life, that is how your spirit wanted to explore things. So for you guys, the psychic attack is not to say it's purposely coming from other people. It's not to say that it is a psychic attack, but it's more that these situations and these sometimes catastrophic events were somehow put on your life path with the Wheel of Fortune. They were put on your life path. They may seem out of your hands, but it's as if they were scripted in your life for you to have certain experiences when it came to learning and understanding yourselves. But this is a concept that some of you may struggle with the masquerade. Okay, let's just hold some more and let's get some more information about this. Yep, so you guys, it's not to say that it's a psychic attack per se, but it's something that was written in your Akashic records that you need to experience in order for you to understand elements of yourself and your nature. Knight of Wands. You guys are very passionate, very driven. You have that Aries energy, which is things coming to a fiery climax. You have Knight of Wands. Knight is a passionate sort of energy as well. So as I said, and I talked about cardinal signs. So some of you guys may be Leo, Aries, Sagittarius joining this reading, or it may really occur in your chart. This is what I was picking up with the masquerade, with the Eight of Swords. So some of you may be in really difficult, turmoil, tumultuous situations and not really understand why. Hence you put on a front, you put on a brave face. But what I'm picking up on here is do not be afraid to ask for help. Do not be afraid to ask for help from other people in your tribe. Do not be afraid to open up and to really reveal how you're feeling. Because that revealing how you're feeling, part of that element is you could resolve these lessons faster by reaching out for help in your community or help from others. Notice that this person is an apprentice, and that's what I was talking about, being here to learn certain life lessons. So go out when you're in a difficult position and seek that advice. Right? Seek insights. Have other people who are looking in on your situation. Let them advise you as to what they think is happening. They may not have all the answers, but something they may tell you may trigger something in you, or trigger where else to look, or give you a new perspective on the situation. Okay, that's very, very important. Look at this Eight of Swords again. Notice that she's all tied up. She can't see, hands are tied up, can't move. But look at her, she's not tied up and she's reflecting in. That corresponds with the masquerade. That you put on, you're very good also, pile number one, on putting on a certain front, putting on a good front, that you're happy, that you're this, that you're that, but you're not allowing yourselves to be very vulnerable. You hold everything in. And when you don't allow yourselves to be vulnerable and you hold everything in and you put on a front as if everything is okay, a lot of times that negativity builds up inside and it can eat away at you, especially when it comes to your mental health, anxiety. A lot of it is turned inwards. A lot of anxiety and low vibration energy, I would say it's turned inwards towards you. You're being advised to ask for help, to ask for assistance from other people. Okay, let me just very lastly to wrap this up. You guys are very giving. You're very gregarious. You're very out there. You have two knights here, so you're very passionate, you're very giving, you're very sensitive as well. People around you may not realize just how sensitive you guys are. Yep. Shift your vibration, dance. But look at this card. This card is really important and key because it talks about what we were raising, the initiation. This is a rite of passage. You're going somewhere sacred. That has been the main theme for you guys throughout this. With a rite of passage, it means that certain thing, you know, young man, this is your rite of passage, meaning that there are certain things that you are experiencing on this path that would lead you to somewhere else. So we picked up on the rite of passage here, in that there are certain circumstances happening which were meant to, they're divinely orchestrated for you to experience life in a particular way. But it appears as well that you are being led somewhere. It's all channeling you to a particular direction. Right? So again, I will say the only psychic attack is coming from you guys not being more open and not being more truthful about what it is you're going through. And picking up intuitively that it could be that some of you guys may not trust the people around you, may not trust that you could open up. You may not trust you could open up because you are afraid of what people may think of you or how people may view you, that people may view you less than. If you have that intuition, I would suggest trust it. But it means that if you trust that intuition about the people around you, you have the wrong tribe around you. Just saying. Okay? So you may need to clean up that tribe around you. But definitely know that in this life, you guys are the apprentice. You're experiencing certain, you're highly intuitive, you're highly sensitive, but you're going through some of these things for a reason. This is your rite of passage to learn something. So you'll be more vulnerable to attacks if you leave that, if you hold everything in, if you allow the anxiety to build up within you. That is you psychically attacking yourselves, and that is where your vulnerability would come from. Your vulnerability would come from not opening up. Okay? Pile number 1. There is nothing more that I could add to that. Let me know down below whether this resonated with you. And if not, it could be that this is just not your time right now. And not to worry, that is fine. And I will just probably see you guys in future readings. Okay? So pile number 1, that is it from me for now. Bye. Okay. All right, pile number 2. So let's see what you have. Where are your vulnerabilities for psychic attacks? And what advice do we have on how to avoid or strengthen your defenses against psychic attacks and get you more grounded? Now, I would say for you guys, do check the introduction, because the introduction gives you a frame of reference. I would also say it's important to understand that a psychic attack could only be successful if we allow it. We do not have to repel an attack, but we should never respond to an attack in kind, because everything comes around. And also to understand that we are a reflection of what we put out in this world. Okay, so the more grounded you are, the less vulnerable you are to psychic attacks. So really look at the introduction, because the introduction is important for a frame of reference. I'm not going to go into it again here. Okay, so what do we have? Bring love into the situation. Watery energy. New moon and aqua. Intuition and manifestation. Spirit energy coming through really strongly here. All who are intuitive say I, because water energy, that's very much an intuition energy. High 14, hiding your true self. Interesting. So this card is like at the root of what the situation is. Okay, let me not look at that just yet. Okay, fine. Would this bring love into the situation and hiding your true self? I feel this is referring to a lot about the love of self, is what I'm picking up here a lot. And whether you guys block, I'm just looking at this half moon here, whether you guys have a tendency to block yourselves, invalidate one aspect of yourselves, but shine and want to promote another. What I'm particularly picking up on as well is not being truthful and not being honest. Please don't shoot the messenger. I'm just channeling at this point. Not being truthful and honest and showing all of you, because you think not all of you would be loved, or not all of you has the capability of being loved. For some of you, I'm picking up childhood, and that in your childhood you may have been raised in a particular way, that only if you did a certain thing, acted in a certain way, spoke a certain way, if you only ticked certain boxes, then you got validation. But there was a part of you and a side of you which did not stand up to that at all, or which knew that there was more of you. And when you did try to bring that other element of you to the surface, it was either knocked down, it was invalidated, it was made fun of. So you learned to keep that side hidden. Okay, that's what I'm picking up on so far. This intuition and manifestation I have, I'm not sure what, I'm not channeling what that is about yet, but I would be pulling cards on camera, so we'll see what we get with that. More water energy, Ace of Cups. I have a feeling that a lot of you guys are intuitives and you have a very strong spirit guide around you. I would not be surprised of that. Four of Wands. What was I saying about the family situation and growing up? The Moon. Yep, certain things remaining hidden. I do not see these cards beforehand, guys. I just literally shuffled and put it together. Okay, now, yes, oh my God. Okay, sorry. I love it when channeling is just amazing. I love it. Okay, Nine of Wands and King of Swords. This is what I was talking about, that overbearing parent figure who just wants you to operate and act in a particular way. It's like ticking certain boxes, like in the old Caribbean upbringing, you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. Anything else was not allowed somehow, right? So you put up your defenses as to who you truly were, or you hid that self because you didn't get the validation for it, right? So there is a lot, and what I'm picking up with this Moon card, this Major Arcana Moon card as well, this is a watery energy card also. This is a Cancer Pisces card, so there's a lot of water here. And I wouldn't say, so when I say a lot of water, some of you may be could be Aquarius as well, but Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, because at the very beginning with this card I picked up a lot of water, so you guys may have a lot of that in your chart. I'm also picking up that of a huge level of intuition with this pile as well. You guys are very intuitive also. And with this pile, what I was picking up also with the Moon is that y'all are very intuitive at picking up how what other people want from you. You're very good at picking up what other people expect from you and playing that role. Okay, and whatever else there is to you, you're very good at hiding that. So you may, yeah. But what I'm picking up here is that what you guys really yearn for, you really yearn for, bring love into the situation, an Ace of Cups. You guys yearn for showing who you truly are. And you're also yearning for receiving love, or being in a situation where you could be loved and valued for who you are. Right? So in terms of your vulnerability to psychic... Oh, hang on, what's this? I forgot this one. Okay, 32. So that's the image. And again, we're picking up with this child here. And a dear diary. So it could be that some of you guys kept a diary and wrote your musings as well. Let me just shuffle some more. So you guys are very intuitive. You're highly psychic. You're very good at creating your own destiny and world. What you put out there is what you get. So, I mean, what do you call it again when you're writing? Manifesting, yes. So some of you guys are very strong manifestors, whether you're aware of it or not, and you're very intuitive as well. What the Spirit card is saying about intuition and manifestation is that it's time to stop manifesting nothingness. What I'm picking up in terms of, you would make yourself vulnerable to psychic attacks. Psychic attacks for this group will come in the form of manifesting a whole lot of nothing, or being involved in situations but you quickly tire of it, or you you generate arguments against people, or you're very quick at cutting people off, or oh my gosh, the light on my camera just went very bright, so that means my spirit guides are saying to me I'm on it. Like, you're very quick at cutting people out. You're very quick at detaching emotionally from situations when it comes to people, because yeah, so your psychic attack could be either someone doing that to you, or you in relationships doing it to other people. You know, being very emotionally detached. Some of you could come across very cold. Okay, so that's an energy that you guys lead with. And that could bring in a lot of psychic attacks and very discordant, because you guys are not like that at all. Underneath it all, you're very watery, you're very sweet, you're very soft, you're very sensitive, and you need to receive that. So psychic attack wise is either people are treating you guys that way, in a very cold, detached, non-understanding, only validating part of you and not the rest. That will make you guys vulnerable to psychic attacks. Or it could be that is your approach to other people is not showing your full self or the whole self of who you are. Okay, let's see what else we can get. Let's see what else we can get. Hang on, I'm being told, is this a new moon here? Okay. It's interesting, we have a new moon here, and then we have the moon card here as well. Okay, so we have King of Wands. That's it. It's more fire. It's more passion for who you guys are. Yeah. Mind you, this King of Swords I have could also be Gemini, Aqua, Libra. So we could have water and air on this board. Let's see what else is coming up. What are the vulnerabilities to psychic attacks? What else? Temperance. That's it. Talking things through. And notice I said that you guys are it's spiritual, very intuitive, spiritually guided as well. Because with this Temperance card as well, it's having that ability to open up and be yourself. Oh my gosh, the light on my camera has gone crazy again. It's being that ability to open up, that ability to be yourself and talking things through and talking in a way. Communication for this group is very strong. We have this with the diary, so either written communication or vocal communication. But whatever it is, and we have King of Swords. The King of Swords talks about mental, being very good with your words, about putting facts and logic forward. So there's a lot of air energy coming through here as well. A lot of air and a lot of water, a lot of sensitivity. So, and we have the Justice card as well, and we just talked about fairness over here. So the way that you guys could either repel attacks is in terms of being vulnerable. When things are not fair for you guys, that is when you guys are the most vulnerable to attacks. When things are not fair. When you don't show up as your true self, as your whole self, that is when you're vulnerable to attacks. But know that if you show up as your true self, people would respond to you. You guys deserve to be out there, and you, let your freak flag fly is what I'm being told. And your reason for here, your destiny, is to follow your North Star. Your destiny is, again, I will say the phrase, to let your freak flag fly, because... and be yourself, be your authentic self, because it's only through being your authentic self that you would train people to respond to you the way you want to be responded to. And in being your authentic self, you would feel a release and a liberation and a willingness to more go with the flow. At the moment, what I'm picking up here in terms of there's a stagnancy, there's a only letting people in so much, and then they're not letting any more. And that is leaving you guys open to psychic attacks. Not letting yourself go, not letting yourself be free is what is leading to, could lead you guys to be vulnerable to psychic attacks here. Okay, let's just see. Are there any further messages about vulnerability to psychic attacks? Any further messages about vulnerability to psychic attacks here? what was I talking about? Intuition, people. People, were you paying attention? Pile number 2, were you paying attention? Crown chakra. This is what I'm saying. And notice the purple in these 2 cards. Crown chakra, you guys are being divinely guided. And then there's more purple on the star card as well. You guys, the way to overcome your vulnerability is just by being more open and in tune with your higher self. Let your freak flag flip and fly. Just be yourself. There's an aspect of yourself that you guys either reject, you cut off, you keep private. And many times when people are responding to you, I'm being told intuitively, it's as if they're only responding to part of you. I'm also picking up intuitively as well that some of you are afraid of setting up boundaries, or afraid of speaking up for yourself, or afraid of speaking your truth. That's another thing that I'm picking up as well. And that also leaves you vulnerable to psychic attacks. But once you start doing that, you would find that you would go up in your vibration. You would be able to manifest more. Remember I said at the very beginning, you guys are very good at manifesting, right? Look at what you guys have the potential to manifest and bring into your life if you sit in your authenticity. There is so much success and so on there for you guys, but it's a matter of sitting in your authenticity. And if you don't, you would feel like you're always struggling. That's what I'm picking up. You'd feel like you're always ducking and running for cover. That's another thing that I'm just being told now as well. Okay, so pile number 2, I hope you resonated with that. Let me know whether it did down in the comments below. If this pile wasn't for you, or if not all the messages resonated, not to worry, that's fine. You could check another pile. Or if not, I will see you in future readings. Okay, bye for now. Okay, so pile number 3. Let's get at it. Okay, so one thing I want to just check in pile number 3 is really check the intro so that you're viewing this reading under the correct frame of reference. It's important to understand that a psychic attack could be successful only if you allow it. And what I said in the introduction is, in this reading, I'm not saying that you received a psychic attack. I am not saying that you would receive one. I'm not saying to expect one. And a vulnerability does not mean an attack is going to be successful either, right? So really view the introduction so that you can have the correct frame of reference and the correct expectations for this reading. Also, a gentle reminder is that we do not repel. We do have the power to repel an attack, but we should never respond to an attack by attacking the source of the attack because everything comes back around to us like a boomerang. All right. And also remember, we are a reflection of what we put into the world. Okay. Also, some people are naturally more susceptible to vulnerable attacks than others. This is what we're going to look at in the reading. And you could be more susceptible at certain moments and during certain difficult times of your life. But people who are very grounded or very aware and who lean in and are curious about their nature are more grounded and less vulnerable to attacks. Right. Okay. All right, let's see what we have. Communication is key. That's really interesting. Communication came up very strongly for pile number 2 as well. So we have new moon in Gemini. Air energy. There's a lot of air. Aqua, Gemini, Aqua, Libra. Okay, what else? Oh, friends and colleagues. So people, communicating with people. That's where that came in terms of communication being key. Oh, I'm picking up this already. I know what this is already. Let's see what else we have. Guilt, gilded regret. Yeah, I know this. I know what's happening here. People pleasers. Pile number 3, people pleasers. Okay, that's what I'm picking up on. I'm also picking up that you make yourself vulnerable by holding things in. I'm being told that you guys may acquiesce to people, let's say, someone wants you to do something, or meet them somewhere, or go to an event with them, and you don't necessarily want to, but you do it because it's an easier life. That's what I'm picking up on. And you guys have regret for doing it, and you have a lot of anger and resentment that builds up because you do it. And so that is what makes you guys vulnerable to psychic attacks, is a build-up of that, a lot of that anger, a lot of that frustration, and sometimes it just explodes. But when it explodes, it's not to say that your point of view isn't valid. Oh my gosh, it's very much valid, but it doesn't come out in the right way. It's not as well formed as it should be. So yeah, so many times it could cause arguments, right, that shouldn't have happened if you put your foot down the first time. I'm also picking up a gilded regret, is that there were things that you meant to say but don't know how to say, don't know how to put your point of view forward. Friends, colleagues, work colleagues. There was a particular type of friendship group I was picking up on here, but particularly close friends. But let's pull some more and see what comes up. Six of Pentacles. Giving people money, right? The Hermit. Okay, I get this. So, yeah. This comes back to something that I'd said before. In terms of when you hold things in and then you explode, it creates uncomfortable situations. What I'm also picking up here as well is that many times there's an energy drain that's going on here with some of you. I'm picking up an energy drain very strongly. So when an energy drain happens, it means that sometimes you guys isolate, or you isolate yourself in order to recharge. What I'm also picking up here as well, and remember the Six of Pentacles, this is you guys putting yourselves out there and doing something for other people. It's always for other people and never for you, right? That's another key message that's come up here just now. Oh yeah, oh my God, there's that disagreement card with the Three of Swords. There's that disagreement card. What I'm also picking up very strongly here as well is that sometimes people, because you're so agreeable, sometimes people feel that they could walk all over you also. That's another element that I'm picking up on. Sometimes people feel that they could walk all over you, and that builds up a lot of resentment, builds up a lot of anxiety. But if you go under that, I'm picking up a lot of fear as to not being popular, fear as to not having people around you. And there's also fear of turning up in your authenticity as to who you really are as well. I'm picking that up also. Another quick fire message that I'm receiving is that a lot of these people, friends, colleagues, etc. may, how should I put this? This is what you call a psychic vampire or energy vampire, in that a lot of people are very, or childish. I'm picking up childish as well, in that you have a lot of people who want. But when it comes time for them to give, they're not always so willing to. And they become very cold. They become very boundaried when you then turn up to explain how you feel. Okay, that's something else I'm picking up on as well. And yeah, okay, we have the Fool here. And it's also a child and a joker. Interesting. Stars on the cheeks. I have a feeling what I'm picking up here with this rainbow is being all things to all men. Right? And I'm picking up very strongly here on someone acquiescing to what someone else wants. And that's where you're vulnerable to psychic attacks. When you bend over too much to what it is other people want, and you hold in what it is you actually desire, when you don't communicate that, it just leads to a lot of explosive situations. It leads to you feeling that a lot of people don't have your back or are there for you. It leads to you feeling that you don't receive what it is you give. Because you have your boundaries down. You think, okay, well, someone else would have their boundaries down with me as well. Or I've bent over backwards to this person. They would bend over backwards to me as well. And when they don't, that is the frustration, and that's the built-up resentment. Okay, what else are we getting regarding this? What else are the psychic vulnerabilities? What else? Oh, that jumped out. Did you see that? Four of Wands. This is interesting. It was a pile, no, I think it's pile number 2. There's a lot of similarity here with pile number 2. For some of you, this may have built up during childhood, is what I'm picking up. Oh my God, guys, you can't make this up. You guys saw me shuffle. We have the 3 of Swords twice. This is heartache. This is betrayal. You guys tend to be betrayed by other people, and particularly boyfriends or partners, romantic partners, close friends. That's what I was saying with that Gemini. I'm picking up in a close friendship group where you guys are taken for granted, or you tend to attract very childish people around you. You make and you form friendships really quickly, right? But people either don't have depth, or they're not the type of people you are looking for, or they're not the type of people who really resonate with you and resonate with your kindness. Guys, you really need someone who could really be there to see you for who you really are, all of you, and be there for some, because you are worth so much more, and you can give so much more than what you're currently giving. What I'm picking up with this group is, you know, I was talking about psychic attacks and psychic vulnerabilities. Many of you guys may be under continuous psychic attacks in this group. Okay, and I haven't said this for the other groups yet, but I'm seeing it very strongly here, especially with this 3 of Swords occurring twice. You guys tend to undergo cycles of this abuse. It originated in your childhood, either in your childhood with your family, or with groups of people in your childhood or early teenage years. Take it as it resonates. But there is something about you guys acquiescing or being the joker of the group, or being the lighted. Oh, don't worry, pile number 3 would be all right if we did that. Oh, don't worry, pile number 3 would be all right if we walked over their toes. Oh, don't even bother with that. Pile number 3 would be fine, you know? And there's a lack of respect here from people around you. But on their side, there's a lack of respect here. And it means that you guys don't shine as much as you deserve to. You're not seen for the full rounded element of who you are. You guys check pile number 2 if you can. Magician and Temperance. Some of you guys may have thought about, yep, it's about working overtime for other people. Some of you guys may have even thought about switching things up, just switching your life up, you know, moving away from your area, moving away from your job, leaving all your friends and just starting anew. I'm picking up here that even if it's not a change as drastic as that, there is some element of your life, pile number 3, that you think you need to change with the Magician and start over with again. And if you did, there is a lot of success at it for you. What I'm also picking up is that another element of your energy drain, pile number 3, is that you don't focus enough on yourself and keep an eye on your work and your projects and what brings you in money, what brings you joy. Even if you have to do it on your own, focus on that, because that is where you would recharge yourself. Okay, so it could be that some of you are doing it already, but it could be for others of you, you need to do it more. Okay, so advice for pile number 3 in terms of repelling psychic attacks. What advice do we have for pile number 3? Mama, how do you like it? Okay, so you're being called to step up and lead here. I like this. This coincides with this Magician energy that we received here. The Priestess and the Magician. And this is what I was picking up on with the Magician, that there is some element of life that you may want to change, that you may want to do away with. And that is really you guys taking that leap to step up in your life. You know, step up and be the sort of person you want to be. Have the sort of people around you that you want to have. Pile number 2, there's so many similarities because I feel that you guys are being heavily guided as well. There is something about you guys not... Pile number 2, there was an element of them not seeing, people not... For pile number 2, it was a matter that they were hiding an element of themselves, which they were insecure about showing. For you, pile number 3, I feel that it's similar, but it's different. You guys have people around you who don't value you for your whole self. And by extension, you don't recognize your value and your worth. That's something else I'm picking up as well. But people are going to do and do and do, and there's only so much heartache that you could put up with. I feel that you guys may want to break free. That I just heard that sound in my head. I feel that there is some situation or with some group of people you guys just want to break free from. And if you do, this is the Magician and the Priestess's confirmation that you should. And also, you would be protected and being advised by spirit guides. Trust your intuition if you want to make that change. And you would get an offer, or you would get something. Ask for a sign as to what the right direction is for you, and you would receive it. Okay, let's get one card for you guys, pile number 3. One card before we close this. Any more advice for pile number 3 is to overcome psychic attacks? Trust your path. What were we saying? Trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? What was I saying about support in terms of your spirit guides and guardian angels and your intuition? What was I saying? If you're in doubt, ask for a sign. Guys, there's nothing more for me to say. I'm just going to repeat myself. But also, the reason why I don't want to over-egg the pudding is that I really want... Some of you guys may need to watch this pile number 3 reading again, and I would advise you do. Because there are lots of messages that came out here. But there is a path that you guys are being called on to step up, to take a lead and follow your own path. You guys deserve much more than what you're receiving right now. And I feel that on some level, you guys know that. You do know it. Stop waiting for the pittance that other people give you and telling yourself that it's acceptable, because it's not. I'm actually getting angry for you guys because people are not recognizing you for your value or your worth. That's coming through really strongly, and this is leaving you guys vulnerable to psychic attacks. But what I'm picking up strongly is that you guys are under continuous psychic attacks. This is a loop that you're looking to get yourself out of. So I hope this reading gives you some guidance in terms of doing that. Okay. Pile number 3, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this resonated with you. If it did, let me know down below. If it didn't, check another pile for another reading, or revisit the introduction to adjust your frame of reference. And if not, I'll just see you in future readings that I do. Okay? Thank you so much, pile number 3. All the best.